Yes, what's going on YouTube? It is Gabe Strom, and we wanted to shoot a follow-up video to some questions that have come up. And I want to share with you guys a very simple formula for prosperity. It is the 4 stages of financial prosperity, and there's a 5th bonus stage. So pay close attention to the end of this video so you can learn the 5th bonus stage, where I really believe true joy and meaning come from in life. So before I dive into these 4 stages, I don't want to oversimplify this. I've studied a lot of wealth creation principles and teachings out there, and I always felt confused about what to do. And these 4 stages really help to simplify prosperity into a real simple plan that anybody can follow to create more prosperity in your life, more time freedom, more time to be with your family. We're shooting this video in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And I'm not at work because I get to hang out and bless you guys with this information. And I am joined by my partner, Zach Young. And we're going to flip roles on this video. I'm going to have him ask me some questions about this. So, Zach, thanks for being with us, man.
No problem, man. I look forward to interrogating you and grilling you on this topic. I've heard you speak on it before, and I always get a lot out of it. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's a fun topic to discuss. And you definitely have some great nuggets you can share with us. So let's get at it, man.
Let's do it, man. Well, first things first, I want to thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. I want to thank you for leaving comments and questions, for liking these videos, and same thing for this video. If you guys have questions about this, leave a comment below. We've got links and resources in the description site. But let's go ahead and dive into the 4 stages and then the 5th stage of prosperity. So before I teach that, I want to give credit where credit is due. I didn't invent this. In fact, I learned this from my mentor. One of my mentors, his name is Steve Cook. Him and his partner, Shaun McCloskey, wrote a book in a program called Lifeonaire. You can go on Amazon and buy the book. Just do a search for Lifeonaire, and I'll put a link to that below as well. I attended a 3-day workshop with Steve Cook about 2 years ago when I first heard this information, and it hit me. I took action on it and have created more prosperity in the last 2 years of my life than I had in the previous 8 years. So I'm living proof that this stuff works. So first step, we'll just dive right into this. First step on the 4 stages of prosperity is vision. Vision. You have to have a vision for your life. It says in Scripture, without a vision, the people perish. And the reason I know this is true is if you don't have a vision of your life, when I ask that question to 100 people, 99% of people freeze up and they're like, I don't really know what I want. And if you ask somebody, what do you really want out of life? Usually it's surface level answers, but very few people have actually taken time invested in themselves to sit down and write out a vision. Like on a piece of paper, write it on paper and hang it up on the wall. And if you don't have a vision, here's the caveat. I know this sounds simple. If you don't have a vision, chances are you will end up working for someone who does. Because I promise you that Mark Zuckerberg had a vision when he created Facebook, and that's why they are where they are today. I promise you Warren Buffett has a vision. He has a plan for his finances and investing. That's why he's so successful. He created a plan 30 plus years ago, and he just sticks to the plan. If you guys have studied Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins has a vision for how he wants to impact the world. Every great leader in history, Martha Stewart, I don't know why her name came up. I was thinking Mother Teresa, great men and women in history, all have sat down and created a vision for your life. So step 1 before you do anything is to sit down and write out, what do you want your life to look like? And a good way to start this process, because it can be a little overwhelming, is just to sit down and say, what would my average perfect day look like? If you could do anything with your time and make money doing anything, what would be your average perfect day? Start there, and from there you can flush out what does your family vision look like? What does your work vision look like? What does your fun and play vision look like? What does your travel vision look like? What do your relationships vision look like? And you can just kind of go through and list those out. So there's more information on that, and the best resource I could suggest for creating a vision is to attend one of the Lifeonaire 3-day, they call them 3-day Get a Life is what they're called, and you spend 3 days flushing through your vision. It's probably the best way to do that and invest it. It's a good use of time to just sit down and get clear on that. So that's step number 1.
Yeah, Gabe, I like that step, man. I don't want to overlook that because it might sound like really simple, But like, how many people do you know? And shoot, how many times have you been like, I'm speaking to myself. I've been in the place to where I wake up, I just go about my daily routine and I've in my day and I do the same thing over and over. And it's just like, I'm just pushing through life. You know, you hear people saying, you know, I got to go to the grind. I'm in the rat race. You got to keep paying the bills. And like, I'm just programmed to like get up, go to work, make money, come home, eat, do stuff with the kids, you know, maybe watch TV for a bit, go to sleep, and you keep doing the same thing over and over. So really, like, that's not living life on purpose. You know, it's like you're being kind of just tossed around by it's just happenstance. You know, it's like there is no purpose, there is no vision. It's just, you know, just want to make money for my family, and I'm fine with whatever else comes along. So that's important, man. I think that in of itself, if people would just take time to do that, they can probably see a pretty dramatic effect if you at least just start thinking about things like that.
Yeah, and that's normal, Zach. First off, that is very normal because we do get so caught up in go to work, pay the bills, come home, eat some food, play with the kids, go to bed, and then do the same thing every day again. So the only way to break out of that is you've got to get clear on what do you actually want your life to look like. If you could get paid to do anything, what would you rather be doing instead of your job? And it's really easy to let the limiting beliefs come in immediately and say, yeah, that's all hocus pocus though. Like I have to make money. I have to provide for my family. So I can't, that sounds good in theory. Trust me, sit down, write a vision, and don't be filtered. And one of the pieces of advice I'll give you is just start writing and don't stop. Like write for pages, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, write 5, 10 pages if you want of just what you want your life to look like, totally unfiltered. This is not the process. You can filter it later. You can come back and put all the limiting beliefs you want on what you think is possible or not. That's not the point. The point is to tap back into that childlike faith that you had when you were a kid. What did you dream of becoming when you were a child? That's a great question to start with. So we could spend a whole topic. I mean, literally, Zach, we could spend 3 days doing the vision, which is what Lifeonaire does. So I don't want to do that all here on YouTube. But that's the starting point, though. Everything starts from a great vision. So that's step 1. Step number 2, once you have your vision of what you want your life to look like, step 2 is your needs. Okay, now this is where you can get more realistic. And in step 2, what you can do is just make a list of your needs and make a list of your wants. Okay, and this is a really sobering exercise. What are the things that you need to live? And I'm not going to filter that and tell you what that is, but you've got to get your needs covered. So once you go through your needs, put a dollar sign next to how much each one is. So if you need a place to live, you need rent, for example, or you need to pay a mortgage. So that's like a need. You need a place to live. You might not need the 5-bedroom house you have, maybe that's a borderline thing, but whatever your monthly nut is that you need to cover your expenses, cover those. This is the part of the process where it's, I've heard Kiyosaki talk about jobs a lot as like they're a bad thing, and like the wealthy, create their own jobs and their own businesses. And I've learned from experience that if you don't have your needs covered, one of the fastest way to do that is just get a job. And just take that pressure out of your life. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to make things work and you're struggling with cash flow, there's an easy solution. It's just go get a job and humble yourself. And I would encourage you, and if you're in a job already, I would encourage you to ask the question, what could I learn? What kind of job could I get to learn a skill? And I learned this also from Kiyosaki, that don't work to earn. So don't just get a job based on how much money you're going to make. Earn or work to learn. Okay, so find a job where you can learn a skill set. And an example of this, several years ago, I had failed miserably in like my 25th business or something. I was broke. I had more than negative in my bank account. I had gone from living in a nice home to sleeping on an air mattress in a friend's house. And so I actually moved back to Chicago to start over again. And I say again because this was like so many businesses I have failed from scratch. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of in my life where God humbled me and put the idea in my head, maybe you should just go get a job. And so I ended up looking around, and I found a job in advertising. And I said, if I'm going to go get a paycheck, I want to learn a skill. And I know I didn't have a ton of money to learn paid advertising and digital marketing. So I went and found a job at an agency, a marketing agency here in Chicago, and spent 18 months working there, hopping on a train every day, getting downtown, going through the grind. But something happened when I went through that experience I got my pride back. I got the dignity back of getting a paycheck every other Friday, and I learned a skill. I learned a skill about how to turn advertising dollars and turn them into profit that has now paid me tenfold on the flip side from applying that same skill to our own products and services. So that's just one example. I'm not suggesting you go work in advertising. I'm suggesting, what are you passionate about? Go find a job in that area. So anyways, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Got to get your needs covered. Now, some of you watching this, your needs are already covered. You're already good. So you are already past stage 2. So congratulations to you guys. Now, stage 3 of the process is to build excess cash, okay? Now, once your needs are covered and you don't have to stress and worry about what's happening each month, this is the part where you begin to accumulate and save up cash. And a great way to do that is to pay yourself first. This is another trait of the wealthy. When you get your paycheck, take 10% off the top. Do your tithing, whatever's between you and the Lord, however you give money, I would encourage you to do that first. But really, the second thing I would encourage you to do is pay yourself. So pay God first, pay yourself first, and take that money and just put it into an account that you don't touch. In fact, I would encourage you to open up a new bank account at a new bank even where you can't touch that money, and just start accumulating cash. And you're going to use this cash for the 4th stage in the process, which the 4th stage of financial prosperity is now to begin to invest. And in this phase, this is a little bit controversial, Zach. The way I heard it taught from Steve, who's a wealthy mentor of mine, he originally, and I think a lot of this information from Lifeonaire came, he had become a millionaire early in life, and he had gone about it by acquiring a lot of debt. So he had used debt and leverage to acquire real estate, and at some point in his life, he woke up and had $4 million worth of debt. I think he had around $8 million, whatever, I'm paraphrasing the story, but he had a lot more in assets than he did debt, so he still had a positive net worth, but there was just the stress associated with it. So he kind of flip-flop roles, and then he paid down all of his debt and then began acquiring things free and clear. So the way he teaches it, and again, this is controversial, is to invest in free and clear income-producing assets. Okay, so buy assets. So with the cash that you've saved up in stage 3, you take that startup capital and invest it in assets. And we could go into a whole topic about what that looks like. And this is the reason you do your vision first, because it's very easy to get distracted in stage 4 about all these shiny, different, attractive investments. But the key is to find investments that produce cash flow. Okay, so I'm not talking necessarily about parking money in gold and silver or in things that just kind of sit there. I'm talking about investing in things that kick off cash flow. They kick off residual income. So rental properties is an example of this. Amazon inventory. If you're an Amazon seller because you watch this channel, that's another example of investing your money into a business that produces cash flow. Other businesses, buying a car wash, buying different types of businesses that produce cash. All this happens in stage 4. And again, I heard Steve teach about this, and we're probably going to get a lot of comments on YouTube channel about the difference between good debt and bad debt and all this stuff. I'm not here to argue that with you guys. I'm just sharing with you the plan of how I was taught this. And this is the plan to having prosperity, where you live, you're debt-free, you're wealthy, your bills are covered, and you have more than enough. You have an abundance of harvest. And that happens from not having to lay in bed at night worrying if your rental properties, if they're going to pay their rent this month so you can cover your mortgage and things like that. So that's just where that's coming from. So that's stage 4.
All right, Gabe, I got to stop you, okay? So out of curiosity on this topic of good debt, bad debt, I agree. Like I've been in both places, and I will admit, like I do sleep better at night when I'm not heavily leveraged and I don't have a lot hanging out there. Because at any given time, like some of your notes could be called. Like you've heard about real estate, moguls that like have millions of dollars in the real estate portfolio, and like times get hard, the economy gets crazy, and the banks call the notes. They're like, you got to pay up, because most of those mortgages, a lot of people don't know, but like in the fine writing that you never read when you sign like the stack of 100 pages at your closing, says that at any time the bank can call the note, meaning like you have 30 days to pay that thing off. And if you can't do that, then you foreclose on the property and everything you work toward, can fall apart. I think something like that happened with Dave Ramsey. I
was just thinking that.
He's really big on, the war against debt. But the question is like, for people like, I'm just curious with Steve Cook's story, and I'm not sure if you know this, because you said that he used debt to acquire most of his stuff, but then he started paying down. Like, did he have a story where he had this debt and like everything crashed and he started from scratch again and did it all with no leveraging whatsoever? Or, did it go from like he just started paying all the debt down and now he doesn't have the debt, but he did start out with quite a bit of leveraging? Like, do you know?
That's a good question, and we'll have to interview him to find out, because I don't know the answer. I do know, so it wasn't like Dave Ramsey. Like, this happened to Dave. You just mentioned this, where he was like a young guy in his 20s, and he had all this millions of dollars in real estate, and then the bank called it due. They called the note due, and he couldn't pay it. He didn't have the cash on hand. He had the assets and he had the cash flow. They were all positive cash flow properties, but he couldn't pay the note. And so they foreclosed on all of his properties, and his empire that he created kind of came crumbling down. So, and that's happened. There's a guy in my mastermind, Zach, in the Lifeonaire group, that happened to him too. Very wealthy guy. And he had a bank that he had worked with for years, small town local bank. Like, they knew his dad, they knew him. He's done successfully, has been paying, his perfect credit, paid everything on time. And out of the blue, they called one of his notes due. And it was like $1 million property. And they're like, hey, you owe us this $1 million. And he's like, I don't got it. I don't got $1 million in cash right now. So I don't know Steve's story. I don't think he had the implosion that happened to Dave Ramsey. I believe, and I'll have to interview him, I believe he just started flipping properties and taking those pockets of cash, $100,000 at a time or whatever they are, and just shoveling it at the debt. I'm pretty sure that's what he did. So I'll have to ask him, but.
Well, and I'm just trying to think of like what's relevant for our viewers, like if they're in that place where they've gone through the steps that you previously mentioned, and then they're on this phase, and say that they're on positive cash flow after all their needs met. Say it's only like $50 a week, or $100 a month. Like, I've been in places where I had a tight budget and we got out of debt and we had all of our needs met, but like I only had like $100 positive cash flow at the end of every month. Like, what do you do with that? Like, if I have big dreams to create my own business, get out of this day job, and I'm only making $100 extra per month, and I don't want to take on any leveraging, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to rain on your stage of prosperity
no,
teaching here, but I mean, what do you say to our viewers that are like that? Majority of people, myself included, have lived paycheck to paycheck, and we're doing all we can to get out of debt. Then when we get out of debt, like, it's not like we're just rolling in the cash and we can start putting it in all these investments in real estate and Amazon. So what do you say to the person in that situation?
Zach, great question. And feel free to rain on my parade. Here, I got to turn the volume down. If you wouldn't mind turning your volume down, here, just a little feedback on your end, I think.
Yeah, man.
So the answer to that question is we got to back up. Before I get to the 5th stage, hang tight. There's a bonus stage, and this is where all the magic happens. Before we talk about that, the answer to that is once your needs are covered in stage 2 and you've moved into stage 3 is where you do one of two things. If you have debt, this is where you begin to build excess cash to pay that down. Once that's paid down, let's say you're clearing $50 a month at this point in stage 3. Once your needs are covered, this is when the time becomes to increase your cash flow. So this would be the time, once you've got your vision, once you've got your needs met, and if you're just breaking even, and I've been there too, Zach, I know what it's like to have more bills than there is month left, if you know what I mean, where I got more stuff to pay and the paycheck's not covering. I've been there, and I know you have too. The answer is to, this is where you stretch your prosperity and begin asking better questions. How can I create more value in the world is one of the best questions you can ask. And the short answer is to start a business that serves people. So if you work a day job and you have a skill as a graphic designer, for example, how can you begin doing graphic design on nights and weekends to start earning some excess cash? How can you start your Amazon business and take that $50, go buy some books at a thrift store, or take some things that are laying around your house and go sell them on eBay and Amazon to turn that $50 into $100 or $200, and then take that and you begin to snowball that profit into other things. So there isn't one answer to that, Zach. The short answer is to start a business or to find some way to increase your cash flow and begin to increase your means. And there's no one way to do that. It can be frustrating at times because you feel like you're working real hard, but you've got to get outside of yourself. And I shared the story of me going back to work. That's one of the places at that point when I had gone back and gotten that job. I was basically breaking even each month. I mean, living in Chicago is not it's an expensive city relative to most parts of the country, and I was making $40,000 a year at the time, and I was basically getting by. I mean, food, groceries, my rent, my car payment, some credit card bills that I had student loan payments. That stuff was eating up that check pretty quick. So I had to go start a home-based business, and I found a program. I found it was an affiliate marketing business at the time, and I got really focused. My why was so big, and you've got to get clear. This is one of the steps we haven't talked about, getting clear on why you're doing this. I wanted financial freedom, Zach, so bad. I could taste it, I could smell it, and I was willing to do whatever it took to create that freedom. So I would literally come home from work. I would go right into my office, which was my bedroom at the time. I would sit down at the computer and I would work from the time I got home until about midnight at night. And I did that for about 8 months. I hustled, and it's not healthy. I'm not saying it was the healthiest time. I wasn't at the gym as much, but it took me 8 months of starting that business to replacing my day job income. And there was a moment in time where I had worked so hard. And this is a funny story. I actually went in to my boss. I had been working there for over a year, and they were going to offer me a raise. And the raise that they were going to offer me was less than what I had made that weekend working my business. It was like a $3,000 raise they were going to give me, and I felt somewhat insulted. You know, I had worked here, and it was like a whatever percentage that is of my income. It was like a fractional percent. So you just gotta hustle, man. There's no shortcut around the hustle phase, but you got to find a business that you're passionate about. You got to get clear on your why, and you got to do whatever it takes. If you're fighting for your freedom, if you're fighting to be with your kids, hang a picture of your son or daughter at your computer at work. And on your lunch breaks, Zach, I was on the phone on lunch breaks closing business. I would get like a 15-minute break in the morning. I was on the phone talking to prospects, closing business. And one thing that I'll share that doing this process, what it'll help you to learn is the skill of focusing on income-producing activities. And oftentimes, if you're an entrepreneur and you don't work a day job, you've got all this time in the day, and you'll shuffle papers around, and you'll do all these things that don't really create any results, but you feel like you're working. When you're focused and you're working a day job and you're clear that I'm here to create prosperity and my purpose is to build a business that produces, I think my first goal back then was to produce a business that created $4,500 a month in net profit. And I don't know why I chose $4,500 instead of $5,000. I think that might have to do with a little bit of my limiting belief still of, I don't know if it's possible. That was a lot of money to me back then. For me, that was like, that was more money than I'd ever made in a month in residual income. And I just worked. And when I came home and those times that I had available to create, I would do only the things that produced revenue and nothing else. I didn't have time to jump on Facebook and push papers around my office and organize my desk. None of that stuff mattered because I had to break free. So I don't know if that's a pretty answer, but that's the truth. Well, and that's what I did.
Well, that's awesome, man. And that really, like, what pops in my mind, even that's like what's relevant with what our group and what we do, take for instance, like Gay Lisby, she was working 40, 50 hours a week as a caretaker and had about $30 extra per week that she could take to put into her own business, which was Amazon. And it's just what you shared. Like, she bought some books from a thrift store and for like 10 to 15 bucks and sold them for 80 or 90 bucks, and she found that same book. And like soon that 30 bucks became like $1,000, like in a short amount of time, because she kept finding that book and she just kept snowballing it to where like within a year, $85,000 mortgage paid off. So I guess she put those principles in place. If you're working 50 to 60 hours a week as a caretaker between driving and actually being there, and you only have 30 bucks a week to use for sourcing product or putting into your own business, it's like you said, you got to be focused, man. I'm sure she had a huge why. I'm sure she had a vision of what she was working towards. And so I guess it's possible. I mean, if we are speaking to the people who are like, that's fine and good, Gabe and Zach, you guys are rolling in the dough or whatever, or, your buddy that has all of his millions of dollars of real estate, or Dave Ramsey, what's the guy to do that's living paycheck to paycheck? Even after I make it to stage 3 and all my debt's paid off and I only got, $100 extra a month. How am I going to make that grow? Well, we've seen it happen with people in our group. So Yeah, those principles work, man. So it's good conversation.
It's this will sound what it is to some of you. I'm just going to say it: prayer and intention. They go in the creator of the universe and pray and say, God, here I am. I got $100 a month, and ask for wisdom. How do you want me to steward this that you've given me? And when you prosper where you're planted, and where you prosper, there's different parables in scripture about prosperity and what that looks like. God always blesses in the parables the man who takes the little that he has and makes it grow. He always gets more. So wherever you are, just prosper where you're planted. There's a reason why you're going through what you're going through. God wants to use your story to bless other people. And chances are, if you're going through a hard time, it's because he's refining your character. And I've learned this about the very little. I kind of roll my eyes because I feel so humbled in my knowledge of God. It's like I just learn every day. Very little I know about the creator of the universe. Is that when you're going through the fire, that's where he's changing your character. He's developing perseverance. He's developing resiliency. He's developing the character traits that are going to help you in the future. And it talks about in scripture running the good race and being perseverant to the end. So it's all for your good. It's all for the glory of God. It's all for your good that you're going through that. All that being said, you've been patiently waiting for this fifth stage of prosperity. And this is where the magic happens, okay? Once you've broken through all four stages, and hopefully you're asking this question now, watching this video of, okay, what happens when I get a vision, get my needs covered, build excess cash? What happens when I buy so many assets, so many free and clear assets? My Amazon business is cranking, my real estate is cranking, and what's the point of it all then? What happens when you're making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1 million a month? You don't need that much money to live on. What's the point of life? Well, the fifth stage of prosperity, and this, by the way, is not in the Lifeonaire book. I asked this question of Steve, and I believe this was downloaded. I believe God gave me this vision for this. Fifth stage of prosperity is contribution. Okay, contribution. And I believe that happiness in life and joy comes from serving other people and giving back. So the question I'll ask you is, if you had all the money that you would ever need, and I don't know what that number is for you, there's actually a coaching process that I walk through with all of my personal coaching clients called the Backwards Blueprint, which is designed to kind of cut you through and get you past all these things into the stage of now what? If you had everything you needed, and you had all the money that you would ever need, how would you spend your time? And this is the question I'll ask you. If you have all your needs met, how would you spend your time? Chances are the answer to that question is very closely tied to your purpose, and it's very closely tied to generating significance and meaning in your life. And like for us, I'm really passionate about kids, really passionate about orphans. I was adopted as a child myself. I've been through the foster care system, and I'm passionate about loving kids and loving people that are less fortunate than us. So I have found ways, I'm not going to go into detail what those are publicly on YouTube, but I've found ways to give back and contribute in an area that I'm very passionate about. So it's going to be different for all of you. I believe each of us are called to a unique purpose in the body of Christ uniquely. That's why we have some people that are the mouth in the body. We have some people that are the hands that work. We have some people that are the heart. There's all different types of needs. But the fifth stage is where you really start living. And I do believe that life starts not on the first stage, but it starts on the fifth stage, when you actually crack through all these things that we spend our whole life trying to build wealth. 99% of the world spends their whole life trying to crack free, and a very select few of wise individuals who are going to hear this teaching and take action on it will break through into this contribution space, where you can then begin to ask the question, how can I give back? And what gifts has God given me to give back and make a difference in the world? And chances are, Zach and all of you guys watching this video, that very same fire that you went through in the earlier stages, 1 through 4, the same challenges you went through, all those times you had $50 left after the bills or it was negative, it's those same skills that God's going to use in the fifth stage to bless and help other people that are going through that same fire. So it's a very exciting space. That is the fifth stage, and it looks differently for every people. There's a lot of questions that come up, but those are the 5 stages, and I don't want to oversimplify prosperity, but I have found that typically when we overcomplicate things, nothing happens. So I found this plan to be a very simple plan. I can share from results. When I first applied this, I went to the Get a Life Getaway. I hired a coach. I started working. I got clear on my vision. And the vision, guys, it's where it all starts. It's an evolution, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. In fact, the visions that I write now, about every quarter or so, I'll go through and redo. Me and Sarah will sit down and rewrite our vision, and it changes. It grows. Goals that you set in the beginning, like I had a goal back in the day, 2 years ago, make $4,500 a month in passive income. We hit that goal in about, it was a little over a year that I had hit that goal. This was after going through the training, and now we've set new goals, and the bar keeps getting raised, and we've killed off a bunch of our debts. We've got some other stuff that we're working on still too, but I'm in the mix just like you guys. So anyway, Zach, I wanted to share this on this YouTube video. This is probably longer than we expected to go, but this teaching has been a huge blessing for our family, and I just thought after the last video we did, maybe someone was watching this video right now that this could give some light into your path and help give you some clarity on what's next for you.
Yeah, man. I think something I wanted to hit on, Gabe, too, is, obviously we speak openly about our faith, but, if you don't have the faith that we do, it's totally cool. Like we believe all humans are made in God's image, whether you believe in God or not, that's fine. So we show everyone love and respect, the same type we would want shown, whether you're Muslim or Gnostic or atheist or whatever, it doesn't matter. So, and Gabe, strangely enough, like a lot of the principles you shared, like whether people believe in God or not, like you've probably seen it evident. If you look in the Forbes 500 list, there are several people on there that are not Christians, but they're applying the same principles that you just shared to create the same results. So, I mean, I personally think it's more fulfilling when you're doing it for God, and there's a lot more meaning in it, especially the contribution stage. But I just want people to know, I mean, we welcome everyone into our community, the YouTube community. We have an awesome group if people are looking to do like home business type stuff. Gabe shared on this step of finding a business or some sort of vehicle to start creating the wealth and doing the assets. We have an awesome group. I don't know if you want to hit some on that, Gabe, but that's just a couple things that came to mind that I wanted to share with the viewers.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I just talk from the heart, man, so I don't filter what comes out. So we appreciate it no matter what your faith is. We love you, and I hope you can hear the message through that. I don't want to put any kind of lens on this. So if you are looking for a vehicle, we've got an awesome Amazon community. It's part of our vision is to create a nationwide network of entrepreneurs and sellers, like-minded people who are there to support each other. And thankfully, Zach, you founded this group over 2 years ago at this point, and I got to come alongside you and build this community. So there's a link below this video if you guys want to check out and apply to be a part of our Amazon group and our community. We've got a whole membership site that's got just hours of resources and trainings and interviews. There's an FBA Fast Start Guide to get your first products up on Amazon the first 30 days. We've got a boot camp. We've got weekly webinars that we do. We do free lead Fridays. We give away free leads to our community just to help you get started. So anything we can do to support you and come alongside you in your journey. All that aside, though, the vehicle, it's important that you have this framework and you understand the vision of where you're going. And that's why before I even recommend Amazon as a business to anybody, Zach, I would encourage everybody to sit down, and the action step from this video is step one. Okay, this may seem like a long path. Trust me, it felt like that to me, and I still feel like that sometimes, man. I feel like I've come a long way, but I feel like I have so much farther to go. So start with step one. You don't build the house without having a blueprint, right? Nobody ever no contractor ever just hops on the job site and starts nailing stuff around and hanging things up. You got to go to the architect first, and you got to build the plans. You need the blueprint. The blueprint for you is your vision. So back to step one is, what do you want for your life? And the action step is to sit down and just start writing what you want your life to look like. And without trying to make it perfect, literally what I would do is I would sit down and just start writing bullet points. I want this. I want this. And don't filter yourself. Just let it pour out of your soul. And what you'll find is you're going to you'll hit a block at some point. You'll write for like 2 or 3 pages, maybe a half a page or a page and a half. I don't know. You'll write and you'll stop. When you hit that blocking point, keep going, because the best part of your vision is past that stopping point. So I just want to give that encouragement, because I've done this with a lot of people since learning this skill, and it happens with everybody. So start with step one, work on your vision, and I would love to hear what kind of results you get from that. It's putting stuff on paper, and I can't prove this, Zach, but there's something about the creation process when you take an idea from your head. And it says in Scripture, God, let us make man in our image. So if you believe in the Word of God, then you're made in the image of the creator of the universe, which is a really big thought to think about. You're made like him, or however you whatever adjective you'd use to describe God. That means you have that same creative power inside of you, that same ability to turn your words into something physical in the world. So something happens when you take your ideas and put them into words, and then put your words into paper and you write them down on paper. I believe it's step one in the creation process, because now it's physically, it's alive, it's in the world, it's on paper. And I would hang that piece of paper, that vision up that you create, hang it up somewhere where you can see it every day, because it'll begin to train your subconscious mind and help keep you focused. And I think last piece, Zach, and then we can wrap up. I'll have resources below this video and links to the group and all that stuff below. Last piece that I have found value in the vision is it's equally as valuable to know what you're going towards as it is to know what you get to say no to. And this is one of the biggest thieves of our dreams, of your dreams, is you're going to get hit with opportunity overload. And one of my early mentors, Jerry Clark, told me once that opportunities are like buses. Okay, there's always another one coming. Okay, so you don't ever got to worry about missing out on something. But learn how to say no to stuff, right? And I've got a good friend, actually my Lifeonaire accountability partner, who's a real estate investor in the northwest suburbs here of Chicago. He coaches Little League with his son. And that's one of the things he put on his vision, is he wants to be there for his son, and he wants to coach his Little League team. So anytime I'll call him and say, hey man, do you want to go ride some quads on a Saturday, or do you want to go, camping or do something? He's like, hey, I would love to, but my vision says that I'm going to be a coach for my Little League team, and we've got a playoff game that day. So I got to say no. And he says it out of love, and I totally respect it. But because of that vision, it has allowed him the freedom to say no to things. And when you say no to things, it frees up the space and the time to actually focus on the things that are important. So this is a little preview. There's a whole lot more to this topic, Zach, but hopefully this is a blessing for somebody that's watching. And again, our intention is just to give you some clarity and share some tools and resources that have helped along the way. So hopefully this was helpful for someone.
Yeah, I loved it, man. It's great stuff. And I 100% agree with you, Gabe. Really, you need to go through those starting steps you said before you get into trying to do home business stuff. Because I've been in that place, over the 18 home businesses I tried that failed over a 12 or 13 year span. I don't think my vision was clear, or my why was big enough, and I was willing to do whatever it took, like you shared earlier when you were in that situation. And I think that's probably a big reason why I failed, and why a lot of people that might be watching this video that have tried home business stuff, they've probably failed because they didn't go through those beginning steps. They tried starting on step 3 or step 4 as opposed to starting at the beginning. So a lot of truth to be said in the steps you shared, my friend. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure to give. This is part of my 5th stage, is giving and contributing and sharing back the nuggets I've learned along the way. So keep it simple, guys. Don't skip ahead, okay? Don't try and jump into stage 3 and 4 if you haven't laid the foundation. You can't build the roof on your house if you don't got the foundation, the walls and the windows and all that kind of stuff. So keep it simple. Action step from the video today, just go work on your vision. Take an hour out of your day today and just grab a piece of paper and a pen. This is like my favorite tool, old-fashioned pen and paper, and put your thoughts on paper and just start there. Just start where you're at and just start slowly taking action towards your dreams, and you will see miracles manifest in your life when you just get committed to it. So, guys, resources are below this video. Hope you all have a blessed day. Love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your questions. Like this video below if you like this and you want to hear more stuff about this. And if you got questions, we love taking your questions from the YouTube channel and doing follow-up videos to address those. If you got more specific questions about this, would love to hear from you guys. So awesome. Have a blessed day, y'all, and we'll see you on a video real soon.
See you soon.